Hey, this is Matt once again with about to another video, and this is a paid request for Efree, one of a couple. Dear friend Efree, hope you're doing well, man. Thank you for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And so, one of the requests, he wanted me to do a comparison video, Assault on Precinct 13 versus The Warriors, which is interesting because they're both action films of the 1970s. Both pretty solid films. Both do have... I did not pick up the Warriors one. They did release one that actually has a theatrical cut. I haven't gotten that yet. But I did have the Stream Factory of Assault on Precinct 13. Again, both I like. But as a comparison between the two, and that's interesting. I would say while I do like the Warriors, it does have like this video game feel to it, where it's simple. It's a gang. They're accused of a crime they didn't commit. And they go from point A to point B to point C. These gangs are going after them. They defend themselves. And you have either them fighting the baseball Furies, these guys in baseball uniforms, or dealing with this female gang, among other stuff. Until finally the end where their names are cleared. And they go off walking on the beach. Slow trek back home. The cast, whether it be James Remar or the other people, work well for what they need to do. Has a pretty decent soundtrack. The action scenes are fine for what they need to deal with. Because it's not going to be intricate martial arts or anything of the case. Because it's a film from the 70s. I mean, 1979, as you say. And it's one of those things where it succeeded in what it needed to accomplish. Michael Beck, James Remar, David Harris. David Patrick Kelly is a lot of fun as Luther. Sort of I would call him kind of the main villain in the movie. So while I do like the film, I would say I like Assault on Precinct 13 more. I think it's because while I don't mind the characters in The Warriors, I like the characters in Assault on Precinct 13 more. I think because while you don't know a whole lot of detail, you get to know little bits and pieces of their personality because it's a siege movie, because it's one location, and it's kind of this, how are these people going to work together? One's a cop, one's a crook. And there's enough like mystery that makes you intrigued as to what's going to happen next with these characters. I think Austin Stoker does a really good job as the police officer. How he's trying to maintain order. How he's trying to be reasonable. While Darwin Joston, he's pretty much a precursor to State Plissken. That's how I look at it. I guarantee you, John Crupper looked at this guy and said, okay, this type of character kind of turned to a State Plissken type as Steve from New York. And he's definitely a mysterious guy where he's calm, he's collected, he has a funny sense of humor. Kind of cool, level-headed bit on his shoulders, bit more realistic about the situation, but he's also very capable, just like Austin Stoker is. I like the bits of, why are they calling Napoleon? We get through this, I'll tell you. And so that, again, you don't get to know a whole lot like of their backstory or anything between. There's kind of little back and forth they have with each other, but especially by the end, where the top's like pushing the others off. And hey, would you like to walk out with me? And then walking side by side as equals. That gave a bit more extra flavor for me, character-wise, compared to the Warriors. Not just the characters in the Warriors, but for that, maybe because there's a lot more characters of the gang members along with other stuff. And the thing is, like with the Warriors, some of them kind of disappear, like James Remar. Like they split up, or James Remar and them leave, and then James Remar like gets arrested, and then you never hear from him again. So, did he eventually get out of jail? Did the Warriors try to pick him out of jail later on? Did they ever find out? Like that's why it's kind of that weird thing that happens. And while David Patrick Kelly does a good job, I kind of liked the faceless nature of the villains in the Assault on Precinct 13, where technically you see them, but at the same time, it becomes almost like a horror movie in a way that just keep coming in the siege. They keep coming out of the woodwork, and how they'll come up and kill you and then hide your body and make it look like there's nothing there. So again, it has that kind of horror feel, which makes sense because while it's an action film, you have a director that would learn a little bit, know a bit about horror in films later on, like Halloween and The Thing and etc. So even though it's an action film, it has that kind of almost like a zombie horror coming out of the woodwork to keep coming in. And yeah, while I do like the gains going from one to the other, finding other gains, the siege aspect was just a little bit more interesting to me. And while I do like the music in the Warriors and the songs, it's hard for me to put it over John Carpenter's score. Not only is it an amazing score, it is one of my favorite scores John Carpenter's done. In fact, the more I think about it, it might be my favorite score he's done. Or my favorite theme, at least. Because Ennio Morricone did The Thing. Great score. Steve from New York is good. Starman, was it Jack Nietzsche or someone did it? I forget the composer of Starman. But there's a lot of good music throughout the years. Yeah, but I would say Assault on Precinct 13 might be my favorite score he's done. Just it is such a great atmospheric beat to it. The idea is action, but does have that little bit of horror feel to it. And just an amazing score. I love the score to Assault on Precinct 13. Also, it was cool to see Charles Cyphers in there. Rest in peace to him. Tony Burton, rest in peace to him, who I recognize from the Rocky films as Apollo's manager. And I always remember the fun bit with him. I have a plan, it's called Save Ass. It means you run like a mother. And then Darwin Joston says something about, we should... I forget what he says. And then Tony Bird's like, shit! What's wrong? I'm going to lose. That's not a good mentality, man. That's not a good headspace. I always lose. How do you think I got here? Even for that big role, like Tony Burton was a lot of fun to see. And that's the thing, while I don't remember that with the characters in the Warriors. That kind of fun, jokey banter. Except maybe James Remar, where he's like, I'm going to take that bat, stick it up your ass, turn into a popsicle, that type of thing. But then he disappears because he's arrested. Was it halfway through or 2/3 of the way through? And like Michael Beck does fine. That's his name, Michael Beck. He does fine, the Warriors. But I just got more into Darwin Joston and Austin Stoker in Assault on Precinct 13. Now, I mean, you say maybe it's not fair to compare because they are two different films. They're two different types of action films. But yeah, I just felt more intensity, more of a harder edge with Assault on Precinct 13. Hell, even the beginning where the the bad guys going around thinking who they're going to snipe with a sniper gun, and then killing that little girl with the ice cream. It's like, oh shit. And then you understand why the father did what he did, and you feel for him, and then the siege begins. One nitpick I always have with that film, though, it's a little nitpick, is in the film, it's not Precinct 13. It's Precinct 9, Division 13. I never understood. Like, Assault on Precinct 13 sounds better. So I get that. Why not change the radio and just say Precinct 13 Division 9? Like, it's a radio. Just change it afterward. Whether ADR, how you want to put it, just change it afterward. That always annoy me where it's like, it's a nitpick, but each time it's like, Precinct 9, like, it's not Precinct 9. It's supposed to be Precinct fucking 13, god damn it. But again, that's a teeny little nitpick. But yeah, like I said, while I do like the Warriors, can you did it? Can you did it? I just get a bit more into the characters. I did the mysterious angle of Darwin Joston's character. And kind of hit. And that's an actor that deserved a lot more. Because he didn't get to do anything. He had like a bit role in The Fog. And like this is a guy who did a really good job. And you kind of sitting there going, why did he not get more work? Like he could have been like Jan Michael Vincent. And maybe even, I mean, I hate to say it, maybe even better than Jan Michael Vincent. But yeah, he had a tiny bit role in Eraserhead. He had a tiny bit role in The Fog. He was Drunken Trucker in 1980, and then Time Walker, he played a lieutenant. 1982 was the last film he was in, and he lived until 1998. So I'm sitting there going, like no one wanted to hire this guy? I mean, maybe after a point he retired, because from 1986 to 1994 he worked as a driver captain, and transportation captain on TV shows and films like Down and Out in Beverly Hills, La Bamba, and David Lynch's Wild at Heart, as well as The American President. That's just crazy, man. I guess he was on an episode of Elf. Which I didn't know that. But like I said, The Warriors, good film. But again, Assault on Precinct 13, like I said, I enjoy the intensity of the siege more. It felt like I had a bit of a harder edge to it. I got a bit more intrigued by the characters in the film. The score, I think, is amazing. It has so much atmosphere to the proceedings. The finale, much more explosive. Just the finale on the beach is fine for what it is. But the finale of Assault, where that hallway where they're just being pushed back more and more, and just literally being pushed to the wall, and have that lucky shot, that desperate shot to just blow the shit out of them. It's like, man, they took care of a lot of fucking bad guys here. Hell of a body count. And I know they did a remake, which The remake of Assault on Precinct 13, of a remake of a John Carpenter film, it is the most tolerable. Because I think the director did have some good looking shots in that film, but it's just one of those things where I thought it was just made more typical. Oh, yep, the white guy's now the top, and the black guy's the criminal, and you know where it's going, and I don't know, it just, the music, of all the times I keep saying don't just use the original music, I'm like, you know what, this music you have is very generic, can you use the original musical score? But, I mean, I'll give credit where there's some good looking shots, and it taking place in winter was interesting. And also, I was surprised by some of the people that got killed in the movie. Because in another film, they'd be alive because they're comic relief or whatever, and they didn't. So I'm like, okay. So, Assault on Precinct 13, I don't hate. It's just kind of go, did this really need to exist? Or did it even need to be called Assault on Precinct 13, honestly? But, I don't know. It's not an awful remake. I mean, it's not an awful film, if I'm being honest. Because you got, like, the Fog remake and Halloween. Like, those are awful. It just doesn't touch the original. And then the Warriors, I know a lot of people tell me about the video game. I have never played the video game. I have the video game on that PlayStation 3 thing. Who knows, maybe someday someone will request a playthrough of it. If they do, I would gladly play it and give it a whirl. But I've never played the game. I hear good things about it, but I've never played it, so who knows. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. I have a few other requests to get to, but I do know Efree has 2 more documentaries that I gotta watch and review from, so hang in there. I apologize for the lateness. Just been a lot of stuff that dealt with in January and trying to catch up with stuff. So thank you guys. Take care, everyone, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.